Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Dani. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to crochet these beautiful granny squares that it's gonna be the main piece to create this beautiful cardigan. The whole pattern will be available on my blog. As always, the links and everything will be in the description box below. And in here I'm gonna show you how to crochet the square to make the size medium large, but this pattern includes size from extra small all the way up to 4XL, so make sure to check that out. Again, all the links will be in the description box, and in the next video I'm gonna show you how to join the squares and make the ribbon. Now for the materials, we're gonna be using Wool Ease by Lion brand. This is a category 4 worsted weight yarn. The skein comes with 85 grams and 180 meters. And for the colors, I will be using Arrowwood, Fisherman, Thrush, Umber, and Nightshade. Nightshade is the one that I will be using for the collar, the ribbon, and the cuff. You will also need a 5.5 millimeter hook, scissors, measuring tape, and your tapestry needle. I like the pointy ones, especially for garments. I think it's a little bit better to weave in the ends. Now let's begin with the granny squares. So I'm going to start with a chain to make a little circle. You can use a magic ring or a magic loop if you want to, but I think that this is a little bit better when creating something that's gonna be in the wash and the dryer. So we're going to chain 4, and now you're gonna insert your hook in the very first chain and slip stitch. Now we have created a little circle, and we're gonna work the stitches right here in the middle. So now we're going to chain 3 to begin, and we're gonna make puff stitch. I'm gonna show you how they look like. You're going to yarn over, insert your hook in the middle, pull up a loop, and make it as tall as the chain. That's 1. We're gonna do that again. Yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop. That's 2. Do it again. That's 3, and 1 more. That's 4. And now to close the puff stitch, you're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops, and then chain 1 to secure the puff stitch. Now we're going to chain 2 to create the first corner of the square. Now we're gonna make another puff stitch, and the first round will be just puff stitch and chains. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now yarn over, pull through all the loops, chain 1 to close, and we're gonna chain 1 more. This will be for the side of the square. Now another puff stitch that's also going to belong in one of the sides of the square. 3 and 4. Close the puff stitch, chain 1 to close, and then chain 2 to create the next corner. So here we have 1 puff stitch, the corner, then 1 side, the next corner, and now we're gonna work on the other side of the square at the same time. We're weaving in these tails, so crochet over the tail so then it's easier to close at the end. Okay, so now we're going to make another puff stitch. In total for this round we should have 8 puff stitches, making sure that we have the 4 corners and the sides. So we chain 1, and we're gonna chain another one to create the side, another puff stitch, and chain 1 and then chain 2 to create the next corner. So we have one corner, the side, another corner, another side. We just chained for the next corner, so now we need to make 2 more puff stitches for the next side. So to be clear, all the corners will have 2 chains, and then all the sides will have 1 chain, okay? And those chains are in addition to the chain 1 to close the puff stitch. So if you see it on the crochet chart that says 3 chains, that's because one of those is to close the puff stitch. Okay, so here we have the 2 chains because we made the last corner. We have 1, 2, 3, and this is the last corner. And here we have 1 puff stitch from the beginning. That will be one of the puff stitch for that side. We'll make the last puff stitch that will belong to that side of the square. And in here we chain 1 to close the puff stitch, and we chain 1 to join the next puff stitch. So here we should have 8 puff stitches, 4 corners, and of course 4 sides. Now to join the round, we're gonna insert our hook right in here in the chain 2 space and slip stitch to close. Here you can see the square a little bit better. For the next round, you're going to chain 3 again, and we are right here in one of the corners, so this is where we have to make another corner. And the corners are 2 puff stitches separated by 2 chains. So in the chain space, you're going to make a puff stitch. Now pull up through all the loops, chain 1 to close, and chain 2. Now we make the second puff stitch in the same chain 2 space. Now we chain 1, and in the following space, which is one of the sides of the square, we're going to double crochet 4 in the space right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 double crochets in that space. Here you have it. Now we go to the next corner where we're going to repeat. In the next corner, 2 puff stitches. 1 loop, 2, 3, 4, pull through all the loops, chain 1 to close the puff stitch, and then chain 2. And now again another puff stitch right in the corner. Yarn over, pull through all the loops, and chain 1 to close. Here we have the next side of the square, and in here we're going to double crochet 4 times again, and then we're gonna repeat the same thing on all corners and all sides of the square. Once we are done, in here to close the round again, we are going to slip stitch in that corner. So right here in the chain 2 space, insert your hook and slip stitch. Now we have the corner and the round closed. And now for round 3, and this will be the repeat round for all the sizes, you're going to chain 3, and because we are in a corner, we're going to make the 2 puff stitches. So we have the first puff stitch in here, chain 1 to close, chain 2, and then the next puff stitch right in that same corner. Again, this round is the repeat round for all the sizes, and if you want to make the square as big as you want. Okay, so now that we close, to increase in each round, we're going to be increasing right after the puff stitch in here where my nails are. Okay, so in here, in the space between the puff stitch and the double crochet, you're going to make 2 double crochets right there in that space. We have 1 and then 2 in the same space. Now because you have 4 double crochets on the side, you should have now 4 double crochets in here. The first one, it's a little bit hidden in here. You can see it right there. That's where the first double crochet goes. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the last double crochet. And then we get to the next space in here in between the last double crochet and the puff stitch, and we're going to make 2 double crochets, and we're gonna repeat the same thing. So now we got to the next corner. You're gonna repeat the 2 puff stitches and then the same on the other side. So here we have 1 puff stitch, chain 1 to close, chain 2, and then another puff stitch, and then we're gonna repeat the same thing on all 4 sides, or the 3 sides remaining. Now that we have in here the puff stitch, we make the 2 double crochets and so on. We're gonna repeat all the way around. Once you are done with round 3, this is how it should be looking like. You're going to join the round again with the slip stitch right here in the corner. Insert your hook and slip stitch. So if you're making the size extra small, here's where you're gonna stop with your squares, and you're gonna make as many as you need for the cardigan. All that information is in the pattern, so remember the link is in the description box. If you're making the size medium large, you need to make another round. So we're gonna repeat round 3 over and over. So we have the puff stitch, close, chain 2, make your puff stitch again, and then we chain 1 to close, and again in the space between the puff stitch and the double crochet, you're going to make 2 double crochets. We have 1 and then another one right in that same space, and then because we have now 8 double crochets on that side right here, you need to have 8 double crochets as well. Remember that the first one is always a little bit hidden in here. So now double crochet 8 until you get to the other side. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now that we have the 8 double crochets right in here after the double crochet and between the puff stitch and the double crochet, you're going to double crochet 2, and then you're gonna repeat again on the other corner and the 3 remaining sides. Once you're done, you're going to slip stitch to join the round, and if you're making the size extra large 2XL, you're gonna want to make another round, and if you're making the size 3XL 4XL, you need another extra round, so 2 more rounds after this. Again, all the instructions are in the pattern, but because I'm making the size medium large, I'm going to actually remove this slip stitch. I'm gonna pull the loop a little bit. I'm gonna cut the yarn, and here is the biggest tip that I can give you. Weave in your ends as you go. Don't wait until the end to do it, because then you are not gonna like it. So here I have my super pointy tapestry needle. Again, I really like a really pointy one because I can really get in the fibers, and my tails will be extremely well hidden in there. So I'm gonna pass the needle through the loop and then back in that stitch, so it almost looks like a fake stitch. Don't pull that tight. I don't know why I did it so tight. But in here now you can weave in the ends, and again you should do it right away. Same with the chain tail from the beginning. You should also weave in the end right away. Now for the cardigan, you don't need to block the squares if you don't want to. I like blocking the whole cardigan after, but if you want to block your squares, go ahead. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't do that. Like I said, I leave everything at the end, so then my cardigan, it's all nice and even with the ribbon. So yeah, now make all the squares that you need. All the number of squares that you're gonna need for your cardigan are listed in the pattern, so please check that out. And then in the next video, I'm gonna show you how I join the squares and how to make the ribbon, which I've shown in previous videos, but I will do it again because it's a different cardigan. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. I hope you are excited and you are going to make this cardigan. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.